Wargaming are giving away this vehicle right here as a free vehicle within the season pass, and there's a reason why they're giving it away for free, is because this vehicle is absolutely trash. Just take a look at these clips as we're going through, and yeah, you'll see exactly why. Now we have two replays. I'm going to show you the setup of the tank, what we're doing now, and yeah, the season rank 100 reward for free if you don't purchase the battle pass, which gives you the Soviet tier era 3 vehicle. Some just it's not worth it. But first things first, what is this tank? Well, it is the unskinned version of the tank that's given away as part of the season pass. They are one in the same, the VK1601P, or otherwise known as the Mauer Breaker. And this tank, or Mauer Breaker, I don't know how you want to pronounce it, but you know the one, this vehicle right here. And let's just say this tank is not particularly the fastest of tanks, and if you're interested in playing the Maus, you'll know all about it. And primarily what this tank is all about is having that thick armour. The armour in which you can supposedly be able to deal with opponents by side scraping out, firing, you know, your rounds with higher alpha. 440 alpha at tier 8 sounds pretty good. But yeah, there are a few things that you have to consider when you look at this tank. And although the armour looks like it's going to be good, in reality it is not. And as soon as people start loading premium rounds, this thing becomes just a easy pen through the side of the tracks. You can pen it in the lower plate, you can pen it in the turret, and if that wasn't as bad as it gets, what you can't see is Wargaming's cupola that they stuck on the top of this vehicle to make it even easier for you to pen. Even if the cupola is supposedly fairly strong, it has 200mm. Every single tier 8 that plays up against it is going to be able to pen that with either the standard rounds, which is the most of the tanks in the game at tier 8 are going to be able to do it, and if they can't, they can just load premium and go straight through the cupola as well. And because this tank is supposedly, you know, you could get hold down to hide that lower plate, which is pretty weak, I mean, you could just pen the cupola, which makes the whole hold down situation just awful. And if that wasn't bad enough, if you have high enough penetration, you can go straight through the turret. Now people are going to be saying, yes, but you could angle the turret so that you can avoid taking the hits, but that cupola's round, so it doesn't matter at what angle you're looking at it, it is all going to be flat towards you. Just makes penning this thing slightly harder, and you may actually bounce a round or two if you do side scrape correctly and you're coming up against players that don't know about the weak points. So I'm sorry if you're joining this video and of course you're playing the Mauer Breaker and you have been coming up against people that might not know how to take this thing out. I apologise if people now know how to take you out from this. I mean, probably not a whole lot more, but yeah, I apologise because this tank is absolute trash, I won't lie. That is my initial review of this vehicle. I'll caveat it though, because I really enjoy tanks that are able to impact the game throughout the entire game, and this definitely isn't one of them, which means that, yeah, you are, once you've committed to a flank, that is it. You are not going to be able to relocate, and that's because it has 25 kilometers an hour top speed limit, which is, as I say, very limiting. Yeah, once you get into position, it's very difficult for you to reposition, and if you are going to reposition, you need to do it very quickly to be able to do it effectively. But we'll jump back to this vehicle, which is the same, it's just the unskinned version, don't worry. And essentially what you have is that bulbous frontal machine gun port, which can also be a weak point too, so I'll add that one in there just for extra effect. And this tank, yeah, has the 440 alpha, but you might be thinking, oh, that sounds pretty good. I'm sure it has okay damage per minute. Yeah, fully kitted out, fully decked out with every single last thing that you can use. 2,477 damage per minute, 0.32 accuracy. Yeah, 8 degrees of gun depression, pretty decent. But I mean, you compare this to, for example, if we were to grab up the Tiger 2, which is the alternate tech tree version that we've seen in the game. And this, although it has equipment in it, doesn't have a commander. and it has 2,200 damage per minute. It's got better accuracy, it goes up to 38 kilometers an hour, it has 8 degrees of gun depression, basically has the same amount of hit points as the Mauer Breaker, and the vision range on the Tigers slightly better, bearing in mind that we do have a commander in the VKP, and essentially it's just a hell of a lot more annoying to play, and that is what is really kind of sucky about playing the VKP, is that you could just play literally any other heavy tank at this tier and it's probably going to work out a lot better than if you do actually play this one. So that's kind of my rundown of the tank in terms of the statistics of the vehicle, my opinion on it. But of course, there are some benefits to playing this thing. The armor does work occasionally, but for the most part, yeah, it's not going to work. It does get a secondary 7.5 centimeter that you can't pen anything with, so I mean, completely pointless unless you're coming up against light tanks. And even then, 40 millimeters of penetration is still able to bounce off of light tanks. And of course, you want to be focusing on using that main gun to actually deal your damage. So yeah, that's my opinion on this vehicle. Doesn't get a premium bonus that's actually that good. Of course, 50% in general, which is, you know, mediocre to say the least. And of course, you can see here it's the exact same on the Mauer Breaker, or the same vehicle. So yeah, I mean, would I recommend grinding all the way to get this? Probably not. I would 100% stop at level 96, but you know, obviously you get extra rewards, and when you complete the season you'll be able to get extra XP rewards. But just to say, yeah, it's not ideal. But of course, if you buy the season pass, you can get the Object 292, which we'll do a review on as well in the coming days, so stay tuned for that. But the way I have set up the Mauer Breaker is potentially one I would avoid actually doing, and that is actually using improved ventilation, advanced loader and gun stabilizer. To be honest with you, if I want to make this as competitive as I possibly can, I am dropping ventilation. For the most part, completely pointless, because of the fact that I would rather be in the fight. It's the speed of this tank that makes it so annoying to play. You can, you know, accept that you can get penned, but for the sacrifice of that speed, you lose well, you don't really gain that much, and you lose so much. And of course, that can stop you from getting damage in winning games, and it can also stop you from supporting your team in losing games, whereas a lot of the other faster, heavier tanks are going to have a lot better of a time. And of course, if you want to play a tank like this and you don't want to pay money, you don't want to grind out anything, just play the tech tree version. It is basically the same, the VK1001P. So yeah, I mean, there's literally no reason why you'd play the premium version other than to make credits, and you'll probably not perform that well, so you'll probably end up earning less credits. And if you wanted to earn just credits, I would recommend playing the Cold War tank that you get for season rank 100. But with that out of the way, crew perks is just basically your typical heavy ones. If you want to have a look at specific crew perks, I have a full crew breakdown for all different types of tanks, including heavies, mediums, light tanks, tank destroyers, and of course we didn't actually cover artillery because, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But there you go. That is the crew perk loadout that we ran with. Track mechanic is almost a must because you don't want to be caught out in the open. I wouldn't recommend Mark Target. This is just because it was one of my builds in the German tech tree crews that I have available to me. But that is my opinion on the statistics of the vehicle. So let's jump into some gameplay and see whether we can even have a good game. Now, this first game is on Rezanai, and we are going to be skipping ahead just a little bit because, I mean, you don't want to watch a tank going at 20 kilometers an hour for a minute and a half. So I'll join you back in just a second and we'll continue with this first gameplay, since I don't want to waste your time and you want to see exactly what this thing can do. Now then, in the painful beginning of the game, as it is, 2 minutes and 10 seconds into the game, we finally get to a position where we can see an opponent. And yeah, considering how triggered I was by playing this vehicle, we decide to go after this Panther and ruin his day. Of course, we kind of get a little bit of extra damage up against this guy. He does decide that he is going to, you know, try and ram us. Not a great idea when this thing weighs quite a few tons. But now we're in the position of, oh look, a big fat slow heavy is out in the open and he's going to take a shot at us, and we lose just about all of the hit points that we've just done. So not the best idea. I mean, granted, I know that it's not the best idea. I wasn't playing in the way that I wanted to, you know, do the highest amount of damage. We made some misplays in this game. I mean, granted, like, these tanks just trigger me to even play. I find them so boring. We miss an easy shot on the Tiger Shark, who's just playing very suspiciously here. I mean, I don't know how he didn't take a shot there, probably because people were aiming like I was, lazily. But that's what I find with these tanks. But what we won't miss is the back end of a Skoda T56. So I aim at least so that if we did miss, I would be 100% triggered. But we don't fully aim because sometimes you just don't get the opportunity in this tank. But if we can, we want to. But we've got a tank coming from behind, so I want to be careful of what this guy's doing. The scoreboard, we are down by 2 tanks, which is brilliant, and yeah, hopefully we can get at least a little bit more damage. Now, am I going to say that this tank you can't get like high amounts of damage? Absolutely not. You can have good games in this thing, but is it down to the tank or just because of the fact that the enemy team did some silly things? It's probably down to the fact that the enemy did some silly things. Now, we take our first artillery hit, and believe me, you're going to get used to being hit by artillery. I hope you saw the first clip in this video at the beginning where you saw one of my perfect games. I mean, we had quite a decent amount of damage in that game, but we lost 1600 hit points out of the 1700 just to artillery, and there wasn't a whole lot we could do. And if we did play to stay RT safe, as some people say, I would have had an absolute shocker of a game and probably done no damage. So there's a very fine balance where you need to be far enough forward where you can deal damage, but you also don't want to play RE too un-RE safe, if that makes sense, where you know, you can be exposed all the time. So you've got to find positions that you're able to remain RT safe but also deal damage, which is very limiting in World of Tanks console. So that's always good. Now, we have got a little bit of a Seal Clubber playing in the NM116, and he is part of a clan that is full of Supercorns, or Super Unicums as most people know them. So a decent player to a degree, you know, able to at least deal more damage than the majority of people in most games. And so we have to be a little bit careful. Granted, that tank is absolutely disgusting. We miss our shell there, probably one of the most annoying bits that I did in that game. Since we were fully aimed, we back out for just a second out of the aiming circle and of course lose our hit points, or lose the ability to get that damage even. But we've done 3,200 damage, which is, I mean, a okay result in the VK16801P, but you know, we are now on this ridgeline trying to avoid getting hit anymore, trying to be careful as to this STA2 who could pop out of nowhere. And then yeah, I mean, the balanced NM decides he's going to get into that bush again. I was thinking about blind firing, but I wasn't sure because, you know, this tank has quite a substantial reload, and of course I was hoping that we'd be able to spot him, but, you know, NM116 things, just being able to remain undetected, and then of course managed to hit the top of this tank and pen with its ridiculous heat rounds that it gets. So yeah, I mean, VK16801P, it has high alpha. You can do decent amount of damage if you can get the opportunities to do so by the enemy team basically throwing their hit points away. But if you're wanting to carry games, if you are wanting to be able to relocate, reposition, pick the Tiger 2. It's free. You don't have to purchase this if you're looking in the future and you're thinking, should I purchase the VK16801P? Only if you're in it for meme value, because that is essentially the only reason I would ever play this vehicle, and of course you guys love seeing me play these sorts of tanks in the stream since they're my least favourite type of tank, so thank you for being torturous towards me. But yeah, that was one gameplay, but let's see how it does in a victory battle where we basically steamroll the opponents, because that was a bit of a steamroll of our team. Now then, continuing in the theme of, yeah, the steamroll, like we say, it is Muravanka. This map, it's okay. We are probably on the winning spawn, if there is such a thing. Essentially where you feel a lot more confident on this spawn than if you were to play the other one. You get a bit of a better area where you can deal damage. And of course you can snipe from the hill if you're a heavy, if you you know, keep yourself aware of what you need to do, because at the beginning of the game you can get a few easy shots for free and then you can move into position, because it's not super critical you get to the spot early on to be able to maintain it, because the enemy team can't really push on this side easily. Now instantly, oh look, an artillery round. There's a surprise. We always love them. I try and aim here, just a terrible aim shot. I mean, I fired way too late. Should have aimed when I was in front of him. I literally have absolutely no idea what the Vanguard is doing. And then we bounce off of him. I mean, granted, we were free aiming, so, you know, I'm not expecting to hit every single one. But yeah, if you do hit him, I would expect to pen the basically super lightly armoured vehicle that is the Vanguard EOC even 90. But, you know, we move on. We get our first shot of damage up against the general, who YOLOs into behind the house, loses all of his hit points, and then proceeds to pull out to try and bounce on me. Yeah, not particularly the greatest play by him, but I will take the little bit of assistance damage that we get so far. And at this point I'm thinking, I don't want to be left behind in this game. The enemy team look like they're in a complete, absolute rubbish position, let's so to say, in the PC words that I can say on YouTube. But, you know, they are in C5 and 6, which is in the middle of the map, and going through the middle of the map in this map, yeah, not the best idea. I wonder what Einstein came up with that one. But we do manage to hit the spyglass. He's obviously going to struggle to pen us, to be honest. That tank does not even have that good of a premium pen. Very nice tank to play. Yeah, just not particularly the most engaging tank when it comes to penning things. But we do manage to hit the Bisotto here, and it's just a case of just keep on rolling forward. If you stay back too long or you snipe for too long, you just get no damage. So I decided to push up. Maybe we're able to find someone, spot someone, and here you go. Can we farm up this Churchill 7 even with the TS6? That could be a really juicy snack if we can get there. If we can get there. If we can get there. Oh, okay. Guess we lose out on that damage. Oh look, our artillery friend's back. Yeah, I mean, so far 2,200 damage. It's a 5 for effect. I'd be, you know, okay, happy with that. We've blocked 2,200 damage. Remember, this is a tier 8 game, so don't take this as a oh look, you can block damage in this tank. Yeah, as soon as you start coming up against higher tier vehicles, that doesn't necessarily always end up the case. And we do manage to hit the Su-130 PM. We are moving forward once again. Maybe we can find a position to hit the M12. I load a HE round and yay, it hits the gun. Brilliant. I was hoping we could finish him off in one shot to get that little bit of extra damage, but apparently not. And then we go for the shot here. It goes into the ground. Yay, yet again. Really fun. And yeah, the Su-130 PM hides behind the hill, or not hiding, but he's doing what he should do. It just a bit unfortunately we weren't able to get the damage, but yeah, an epic victory. Dealing less than 3,000 damage with 1,244 base XP, 2,200 block, 946 assistance, and 8 direct hits. An okay game. I'm sure I could have got better games, and in fact we did have decent games, but I feel like this is your average game in the VK, and I'm not saying the damage is the average, it's probably far worse, but you know, after all of my experience of playing World of Tanks, this tank and the Maus line and the super slow heavies, they are the least impactful in the game right now, because of the accuracy that we have in the game, because of the fact that heat rounds are just so effective against them, and because of the fact that they don't have enough armour where people can't just, you know, aim at the turret and pen automatically, or aim at the lower plate and pen automatically, or just pen the cupola, which is a big weak point, or pen the machine gun port, which is a big weak point, and of course then pen the side if you expose any of it, and pen the side of the turret. Yeah, not the greatest of tank designs in my opinion, at least on console. I'm sure in real life it would have worked a treat if it was coming up against an M4 Sherman or something, but unfortunately in World of Tanks you can come up against the T57 Heavy, who will graciously take 1,600 of your hit points away in a matter of seconds. So yeah, not the best season reward. But there you go, at least you got to see me suffer, and I did play quite a few games in this thing. I dedicated about an hour's worth of gameplay, and trust me, that's enough hours to satisfy me for the rest of my World of Tanks console history or future. So hopefully you enjoyed watching this, or at least now know that this tank is probably not the one you were going to go for. But yeah, I enjoyed it nonetheless, and it was funny to see just how badly it is, and of course how badly I was playing it. So yeah, the only tank in that day that I got less than 5,000 WN8, and it was a whopping 2,400 I believe. So yeah, not the greatest tank, not the greatest player in these sorts of tanks. But yeah, hopefully that showcases exactly what this tank is all about, and let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the Mauer Breaker and the VK161. Oh, I can't even get the name right. You know the one, the VK16801P, blah blah blah. Yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully have a great rest of the day, and you'll join me back tomorrow where we look at the brand new Cold War vehicle, which should be a lot better than this one. Fingers crossed. I'll see you there. Goodbye.